How are sales going so far in 2025? I guess you're gonna have to watch and find out. Hi everyone, my name is Becky Park. I am a part-time reseller on platforms like Poshmark, eBay, Depop, Mercari, and in this week of sales that we're gonna talk about, I did actually sell items across all four of those different platforms. And we're talking about January 13th through the 19th. And I guess the million-dollar question is, are people buying stuff online after the holiday season, with a new president in the country, with just kind of all of these different things that happen, every 4 years, at the beginning of a new year? What's going on? I can only speak from my experience in regards to if people are buying stuff from me. And I'll be honest with you, it's not a lot of sales. It's not a lot as far as the number of items that I sold. Things are looking okay. They're not amazing. January is traditionally a pretty rough month. So we're going to talk about everything that sold, and we're going to start by talking about January 13th, which was a Monday. So on January 13th, I actually had a sale on all four of those platforms that I talked about: Mercari, Depop, eBay, and Poshmark. So we'll talk about the Mercari sale first. I sold this pair of Cole Haan Grand OS beige leather Menlo, maybe that was the style name, skimmer pump or like heels in a women's size 6.5. So those sold for me on Mercari for $34. I did have $5 into them, and at this point Mercari had reverted back to their old fee structure where sellers do pay a fee, buyers do pay a little fee, but now the fee isn't only on the shoulders of buyers on Mercari. The hope is that that will bring about more sales on Mercari. This is my one sale of the week, so it's not really working that splendidly yet, but we shall see. So these sold for $34 on Mercari. I had $5 into them from a garage sale over the summer, last summer, and so my net profit on those, once you subtract Mercari's fees that I had to cover my cost of goods, my net profit was $24.87. This to me is very much the type of shoe that someone would wear to work if they work in an office setting, or if they're a teacher, or just a little bit more professional. And I did notice in a few previous videos that I feel like I am seeing an uptick in career wear type pieces selling through, and I got some comments from you guys saying things like, yeah, we did see a move, during COVID and even in post-COVID years of people working at home, but there has been a much bigger push to having people actually come into the building. And so I do think maybe we'll continue to see a rise in the amount of career wear pieces selling and just kind of professional looking clothing. And that's definitely what I think of when I think of this particular sale. However, my next sale, I don't think anyone's wearing this to the office. On Depop, I sold this Fredericks of Hollywood red polka dot rockabilly pinup retro dress in a women's size 10. When I hauled this, where did I get it? I got it at a local consignment store during their Black Friday clearance sale. And so I did a haul of everything that I got from that consignment store during that time. And I talked about how, like some of the keywords that you typically use for pieces from Fredericks of Hollywood, or dresses of this style, you would use words like pinup, you would use rockabilly, that sort of thing. But I also mentioned how it kind of was giving me Minnie Mouse vibes, and someone in the comments was like, that made me crack up, because you just don't think of Fredericks of Hollywood with something as wholesome as Minnie Mouse. But I don't know, you tell me. I feel like this was very Minnie Mousey. I also feel like maybe someone purchased this in anticipation of Valentine's Day, because it does also give me Valentine's Day vibes. But this sold for $25. Why did I say I had no money into it? That's a lie. I think I had like $2 something into it, again, because it was super cheap from that Black Friday clearance sale. I'm saying that I had $19.01 into that. That's a little bit wrong, but yeah, I didn't have very much into it. I was surprised that that sold for that amount, because when I got it home and started, photographing it, I noticed that there were a lot more flaws on it than I had noticed at the store. I didn't really see any of these flaws, but there were a good number of pulls in the dress itself. And so I just made sure to take pictures of those, notate that in the description. This dress got a lot of attention basically as soon as I posted it. So I do feel like this brand is still doing well. Again, I think it helps that it was giving major Valentine's Day vibes. But if you see Fredericks of Hollywood, definitely consider picking it up if you're able to get it for a good price. And then the next sale on the 13th was over on eBay. I sold this pair of Columbia Omni Shield Advanced Repellency Convertible Zip-Off Pants in a women's H short. So these are those classic outdoor gorpcore hiking pants where like you go for a hike, maybe it's in the morning, maybe it's still really cold out, and as you're hiking you're like, man, I'm getting really hot, I'm working up a sweat here, and so you can zip off with pants like this, like the bottom third length of the pants, and now your calves and your ankles are nice and cool. Like, I don't know, I have never felt that way in all of my times hiking. I've never been like, if only I could get some more air to the bottom part of my legs. But for people who feel like that, there are pants like this that exist. And so I picked these up at a local consignment store in September. I forgot what the month 9 was. In September, there was a 75% clearance sale for this particular color tag. It sold for $21 on eBay. I had $4.50 into those, and so my net profit was $14.49. And I'm never expecting to get a ton for this style of pants, especially if it's a brand like Columbia. I think you can get a little bit more for the North Face, but I just hoped that those would be somewhat of a quick flip, and they were, so there you go. And then the last sale of the day and the last platform of the day that we'll talk about is Poshmark, and on Poshmark I sold this J. Crew coral quilted button, my eyes went to the wrong line. J. Crew coral quilted lightweight zip up nylon vest in a women's size medium. I did put the word outdoor in the listing title as well. That sold for me on Poshmark for $22. I got that at a local consignment store during a $3 tag sale, so I had $3 into it. I got that at the end of 2024 in December, so this was not listed for very long at all, and I made a net profit of $14.60. I went to that consignment store with my mom and my mother-in-law. They were both staying at my house for the holidays, and they love going to these consignment stores and shopping their sales. I asked both of them if they wanted it first because they're super into being outdoors and they like vests and things like that. I think the color was a little bright, so they both passed up on it. I went ahead and picked it up anyway and was able to flip it very quickly. And then on the 14th of January, which was a Tuesday, on Poshmark, I sold this new with tags J. Crew oatmeal quilted button neck sweater in a women's size large. It did have raglan sleeves, and that sold for me on Poshmark for $34. I didn't have any money into it because I got it from Reseller Supply Co., which is a newer wholesale company for resellers. If you're looking to get inventory for your reselling business wholesale and you really want new with tags inventory, I definitely recommend Reseller Supply Co. I do have a couple videos that I've done with them that I will link down in the description below where you can meet the people who run it. You can see some of the unboxings of the boxes that I got through them, but those unboxings were from boxes that they gave to me for free, so I could show you guys what kind of stuff you might get, and therefore I had no money into this, and my net profit was $27.20. And I got that home in October of 2024, probably got around to listing it like end of October, early November, so hasn't been listed for very long at all, just a few months, and that sold. And then we had a few $0 sales days on the 15th and the 16th. Nothing sold. And that kind of tracks given how inconsistent I had been with my listing, especially because school was starting up again. There was just a lot more happening in my life. But on the 17th of January, which was a Friday, on eBay, I sold this outer known blue organic cotton button-up long sleeve collared shirt in a men's size small. This sold for $20. I got it for $1 at Plato's Closet at the end of last summer because they were doing a 90% off clearance sale. I didn't get very many items. Usually by the time they get to their 90% clearance sale, it's not a lot of good stuff left over because they've done a 70% off clearance sale first. But it sold for $20. I made a net profit of $16.30. This is where I will give you an update on my inventory check that I was supposed to have done by the end of January. I have not finished. I did go through maybe it's 9 bins out of, I don't know how many I have. I have a lot of bins. I did go through about 9 of them, and this item was actually in one of those bins. And I think I remember when I saw the item, I wanted to tweak the listing a little, and I believe I ended up deleting it on all of my platforms and relisting it on all of my platforms using List Perfectly. And I like to think that that's why it finally sold. I like to think that it's because I relisted it, and I like to think that it's because I touched it. I feel like there's something to be said for just touching and handling old inventory and remembering that it's there that helps it to sell. There's no scientific proof of that, but that's just my theory. So yay to that one selling. Also on the 17th on eBay, I sold this New Era, that was the brand, Chicago Cubs baseball cap. It was in a women's size extra small. It was adjustable. It had like the little thing on the back where you could, if your head gets bigger all of a sudden, you could make whatever. That one sold for $9. It was also promoted at 3% on eBay. I don't remember where that's from. I think it just showed up at our house. Like, I feel like someone just gave it to us, and I don't know, we're not big hat people in my house. I think I'm like the only person that will wear baseball caps like this, but I didn't need this one. So we made a net profit of $6.90. I'll take it. And then moving on to the 18th, which was a Saturday, I had another Depop sale, and that was this pair of Levi's 725 high-rise bootcut jeans in a women's size 30. Definitely had the word women's in there 2 times. Super unnecessary. This is why you want to make sure that you are alert and just super focused when you are listing so that you don't make dumb mistakes like this. But I also had words like stretch and pockets and casual in the listing title. But those sold on Depop for $30. I had $4.80 into those from Plato's Closet during their 70% off sale last September, and my net profit was $16. I do pay for shipping on Depop on most items. Newer listings on Depop, I have started making it so that the buyer has to pay for shipping. But all of my older listings, I have it with me paying for shipping, and that's what happened here. And so my net profit was $16 after cost of goods, shipping, fees, all that kind of stuff. And then also on the 18th on eBay, my friend Casey came back to visit me and honestly saved this week of sales. Had it not been for her coming through and shopping from my eBay closet and getting some amazing pieces like you're about to see. She got some really great stuff, spent a lot of money with me. I don't know what I do to deserve people like her in my life, and I'm just very thankful because without her, this would have been a very pitiful week of sales. So Casey, again, thank you. I hope you love everything. You got some really great stuff. Starting with this Dickies blue coveralls. I put the word mechanic in there because it looked very much like something that a mechanic would wear. It had an elastic waist and it was a jumpsuit. This one took me so long to list. Like, I remember pulling it up on List Perfectly and like starting to fill out the things. And the thing that took me so long was the size, because the size tag had been cut out. And I was using Google Lens to try and find other examples of the same thing and trying to compare it to other listings that had measurements, like pit to pit, like the inseam, like just to figure out what it was. And I probably spent like close to half an hour just trying to figure out the size of this, which is 29 minutes too long. Like, it was just too much time put into this dumb listing. Finally, I settled on a men's size 42. Again, just based off of what I was seeing from other people's listings and the way that they had done their measurements and how they compared to my measurements. And I'm just so thankful that Casey came through and purchased that so that all of the time that I poured into that listing was not in vain. Because she bought, she bought 1, 2, 3, 4, she bought 5 things for me this day. And eBay will usually just kind of bundle everything together so that everything's on one shipping label, and that way the buyer can weigh everything all at once and just pay one time for shipping. And usually that means shipping is much cheaper for the buyer than what you may have charged the seller for, because when you charge the seller, you're charging them for each individual item. If you have 5 items and all together they're going to be, let's say, 6 pounds, but individually there's like 1 pound here, there's 6 ounces here, there's 1.5 pounds here. Those individual packages are going to just be a lot more when you add it all up. So what I typically do for people like Casey is when they buy a big bundle order like this, I will pay for that one shipping label and pay a lot less than what I charged the buyer for when it comes to shipping. And then I will see what the difference is between what they paid and what I paid for shipping, and I will give them a refund in that amount. And so once I do that, then I have to subtract that amount from how much I actually earned, because I didn't actually make all of that profit from the shipping. That was a very long explanation for something that perhaps you didn't care to know about, but there you go. So when I say some of these numbers as far as like how much my sales price was, it might seem off, and that's because, again, I took off some of that shipping. That sold for $49.99. I got it at a local consignment store during an 80% off clearance sale that was at the end of November. So I think that was probably their Black Friday sale. And that means I only had $4 into this, so I made a net profit of $39.09. The next item that she got was this pair of Vionic Vortex Embolden Active Supportive sneakers. They had like great arch support, and they were in a women's size 8. I had $8 into those from the same consignment stores, Black Friday sale, 80% off, and so my net profit was $25.44 on those. She also got this pair of Hush Puppies brown boho suede moccasins in a women's size 8.5M. I did put keywords like Southwestern and comfort on those. Hush Puppies is not a brand that I typically pick up, but I actually got them in a reseller buyout in the summer of 2023, and I went ahead and listed them instead of, trying to consign them or instead of just donating them, because I thought they had a very specific look to them, like if you're into that like Southwestern boho vibe, like this was exactly that. And I figured there was a buyer out there for this. And even before Casey bought it, this did get some attention. It did get some likes and things like that. So I'm happy that they went to her. I thought they were really cool. So I had $385 into those from that reseller buyout, and my net profit on those was $20.93. She also got this new without tags University of Illinois, U of I, which is the college campus that I live basically on, like I live almost on campus. It was like this jersey shoulder bag. It basically was like they took a few jerseys from the University of Illinois and like cut it up and repurposed it into this shoulder bag. And I think it was by the brand Fandom. So that sold for $19.99. I'm saying I had $6.66 into that because that belonged to a coworker of mine who gave me a ton of stuff to sell through a consignment deal that we're doing. And our agreement is that if it sells for a net profit of $25 or more, then I will split the profits with her evenly. But if it sells for less than a $25 net profit, then I'll give her 40% and I keep 60%. And so she got $6.66, I got $9.98 on that. And I don't know, I've had that listed for a while. Collegiate stuff can sell really well, but you are selling to a very small percentage of people in the world because you're only able to sell those items to people who actually care about that particular school. And furthermore, with something like this is such a specific thing. It's like a bag made out of old jerseys. Like, you're looking for a very specific buyer, and Casey just happened to be that. So again, Casey, thank you. But the last thing that she got was the best thing, and like made me so thankful. So the last thing that she got was this pair of new with tags half days Alessandra pant ski snowboarding pants in the color Mustang in a women's size extra large. These sold to her for $224.99, which is a lot of money. And if you've been watching my channel, you know that I have sold through a good number of these like snow pants over the past few months, and that's because I got a bunch of them, I want to say in November of last year during a 50% off clearance sale at a local like outdoor store that we have in our town. I got them for $62.48. She got them for $224.99. My net profit was $130.96. And at this point, I think I only have one more pair of those snowboarding pants left in my closet or on my reselling platforms. And Half Days has proven to be such a great and popular brand. I think the sell-through rate is great. I think that there's not very many items by this brand listed. Actually, Veronica Mitkay, I don't know if you know her, you need to follow her on YouTube if you aren't already. She's a dear friend of mine, great reseller, great just like person, just someone who I admire so much because she just hustles and works so hard, and I don't know, I think she's amazing. So if you're not following her, I will have her channel linked down below. Definitely make sure to subscribe to her channel. But she reached out and was like, Becky, I watched one of your What Sold videos and you talked about this Half Days brand, and I think she searched the brand on Poshmark and was able to pick up some pieces for really cheap. But it's just a brand that I feel like not a lot of people know about or talk about very much, but I guess if you're in that like ski space, then you know about it. And so, you know, people who are looking for these snow pants have been finding it in my eBay store and Poshmark closet and what have you, and I'm very happy that they are because I'm able to make some good money. So Casey, again, thank you. I don't know what else to say. Just thank you for being you and being so supportive, and thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then the last sale of the week that we'll talk about is from January 19th, which was a Sunday. On Poshmark, I sold this Bowden V-neck Carla blue printed long sleeve dress in a women's size 6. It did have pockets, it was pleated, it sold for $25, and I had $477 into that dress from a garage sale from last, oh my God, how come I'm also just like very tired and like my brain isn't working very well. If you couldn't tell, I'm not at home. I'm in a hotel room, and that's because I'm with my students who qualified for All-State Choir and who are part of this thing called the Future Music Educator Seminar. They were chosen from a ton of different applicants to come and just kind of prepare for what they think they want to do in the future, which is become music teachers. So I'm here chaperoning with the band teacher, and it's so much fun. It's so much fun to get to spend this kind of time with the students and get to know them better and stuff. But this whole week I just haven't been sleeping a lot, and I shared in this video how I have been trying to prioritize my sleep ever since like 2024, and it's been doing wonders for me. But also what that means is on those days where it's just impossible to sleep the number of hours you need to because of school things or what have you, I get like even more tired and I'm just so out of it. So my brain is not super functioning. But that I got during a garage sale on September 1st, which I don't think that was Labor Day weekend, but it was, yeah. Anyway, I got it at a garage sale last September. I had $477 into it. My net profit was $15.23. So let's talk about my numbers. And listen, I fully realize and own the fact that my week of sales would look really awful had it not been for Casey, had it not been for especially her purchase of those snow pants. And I know that that's not typical of most resellers who don't have a YouTube channel. I will, however, say, I feel like, and I don't know if this says about me, but I feel like compared to a lot of other resellers out there, I don't really sell as much to viewers. I do every once in a while. Casey happens to be a special repeat buyer who just comes back to support me again and again. But sometimes when I watch other reselling YouTubers what sold videos and I hear like how many people are purchasing from them, I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's awesome. That does not happen to me in the same way. And I'm not asking that y'all like come to my eBay store or Poshmark closet and purchase from me. It's just an observation. But I do recognize that, especially for this week, had it not been for a viewer's purchases from me, whoo, darling, my sales would have been really stinky. So let's start by talking about eBay, which is where Casey came and purchased from me. I sold 8 things, 5 of those were Casey's, for a gross sales amount of $446.90. I did have $90.49 into those items, and so my net profit on eBay was $263.09. On Depop, I sold 2 items, and that was for a gross sales amount of $55. I had $48 into those items, and so my net profit was $35.01. How does that math even make sense? That's not correct at all.
3 hours later.
I had $4.80. I was like, something is not right here. I had $4.80 as my cost of goods, and so my net profit was $35.01. I sold 1 thing on Mercari, and that was for a gross sales amount of $34. My cost of goods for that 1 item was $5, and so my net profit on Mercari was $24.87. And on Poshmark, I sold 3 items for a gross sales amount of $81. My cost of goods was $7.77, and so my net profit on Poshmark was $57.03. In total, I sold 14 items for a gross sales amount of $616.90. My cost of goods was $108.06, and so my net profit for the week was $380, which I think I had shared a few videos ago that if I could just consistently make $350 of net profit a week, I'd be really happy. I don't think it happened in the first week of January in that first What Sold video. So the hope is that we can continue to be a little bit above 350 if possible. It doesn't help that the past couple days I have not listed, and that's because I've been here and I've been going to volleyball games with all free hours of my life, I feel like, since my daughter made the volleyball team. There are so many games, and I am just sitting in bleachers in middle school gyms for a good chunk of my life after school. So I've been very busy with that kind of stuff, but it's been fun too. But I thought it'd also be fun if for my What Sold videos in the year 2025, if I kind of shared with you how I'm doing thus far, like how much money have I earned so far in the year. So in the year of 2025 thus far, I have earned a net profit of $870.59. So I don't know, maybe we'll just keep tracking that. Let me know in the comments below if you'd be interested in me telling you in each of these What Sold videos how much money I've earned so far in the year 2025. But I feel like that would be really good for me too, and just kind of give me a little kick in the butt if that number is lower than where I'd like it to be, or a little atta girl if it's, looking pretty good. So those were my sales for that particular week of January. Let me know how your January is going. I can't really recall. I can't think back very well to past Januaries, and I know I have the tools to just like look it up on a whim if I wanted to, but I don't want to. I don't know, I feel like it's okay. I feel like it's been all right, so we'll see what happens. But thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button. And if you're like, man, I just want to keep watching some more of your What Sold videos, Becky, don't worry, I got you. I got a playlist right here that you can check out, and you can just binge watch some What Sold videos. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.